This game, originally designed for the arcade, was ported to just about every gaming machine imaginable. So what makes this one super? Well, nothing really. It was just the trend to add super to the start of every Super Nintendo game back then. 1999. Although there's obviously still 4 years left to invent flying freeways, self-drying clothes and hoverboards, the basic rule of setting a story in the future is that you've got to make it so far into the future no one will realise when the date actually comes. Smash TV is set in 1999. That was 12 years ago. I know, who cares, right? Geeks care, that's who. Wow, this game is pretty hardcore violent. Nintendo made a big deal of removing the blood from Mortal Kombat, but did they even see this game? You go room after room slaughtering all the other contestants into a bloody mess and picking up prizes and money for doing it. It's like a precursor to Mad World on Wii.
Total carnage! I love it!
The problem with this game, apart from being mercilessly difficult, darn you one-hit kills, and having bosses that can take about a gazillion bullets before finally carking it, is that there isn't really much to it. I was kind of having fun with it for a while, once I worked out how to use the directional pad and the 4 buttons in the right way. Then I discovered the level select code and tried out a few different arenas, and I soon came to realise that what you play in the first couple of minutes is pretty much what you play for the rest of the game. Variety this does not have. I got bored of it really quickly, and then playing it just became a pain. In 2011, I'm afraid this game falls. The funny cavemen are beating each other up. First impressions of Joe and Mac. Well, it's got really nice colourful graphics. Very nice. The controls feel a bit weird. The jumps in particular, they're really floaty. Joe and Mac is not a long game, not long at all. There's only 12 main levels spread across a single map screen, and some of the levels are really short. On the plus side, every level has a big boss, and they're the highlight of the game. It's not a walk in the park though. There are some really difficult parts, especially in regards to precise platforming. The problem is, Joe and Mac just aren't up to the platforming challenge. Their jumping is terrible for this kind of thing. I got frustrated, but it was more with the game's crummy jump mechanics than my own skill. All up, Joe and Mac it's a fun little game, and it's certainly one of the better looking early Super Nintendo games. There's just not a whole lot there though, so it sits. Hey, it's Thing! I loved the Addams Family TV show and the 90s movie as well, so I was looking forward to this. Well, it's got nice, clean, chunky graphics, but whoa! Gomez is slippery slidey. He needs to get better sneakers, these ones have no traction. At the start of the game, you're just dumped outside the Addams mansion with no instructions on where to go or what to do. But after some exploration, I began to realise that this is actually an open-ended game. You can choose your own level in a Mega Man style select screen hall thing. I also soon realised that it's stupidly difficult. In the run 2 steps and a previously unseen enemy will charge on screen and kill you in a second kind of difficult. It's also really weird. The Addams Family license is used pretty liberally. I don't remember seeing half of this weird crap in the movie or the TV show. Look, I tried and I tried, but in the end I just couldn't persevere with this game. It's like the creators studied every single shortcoming of their gameplay system and decided to exploit it by placing obstacles in just the right spot to make Gomez hit them before he even has time to react. The fact that Gomez is almost impossible to control doesn't help. Sorry to anyone who likes this one, I know it got some good reviews back in '92, but I just found it borderline unplayable. Not fun. This is how I remember Prince of Persia. In 1991, this was the most incredible computer game ever, and I used to play it on my old 286 with a CGA screen. 4 glorious colours! I worked my way through every single level, and there were no walkthroughs in those days. The Super Nintendo version came out in '92, and it wasn't so much a port as a reimagining. Not only were the graphics completely redrawn, but the levels were given some adjustments, and 8 new levels were added. A couple of years back it got another new facelift, which I bought on the PlayStation Network. It's still the same excellent game, but in the new version they tried to make the combat more complicated, and I just couldn't seem to win. I think I got stuck around level 6 or 7 and never went back. For my money, the Super Nintendo is the ultimate version of Prince of Persia. As soon as the game starts, you realise that something's different. 120 minutes! That's double the time limit of the original version. And there's eerie background music as well, which the original never had. Add to that the wonderful 16-bit graphics, and boy, we're in for a treat. During his travels on his quest to save the princess, that's original, the main character makes his way through the dungeons back to the royal palace, only to find a giant mirror standing in his way. So he leaps through the mirror, but in doing so creates an evil reflection of himself, a creature that will haunt his steps through most of the journey. It's great to have new levels, but they are a little strange. The prince now falls into a volcano? In the middle of the Persian palace? Later in the game he finds himself in what looks like an Egyptian pyramid and battles Ganesh? Has he just been transported to India? I'm really confused. Anyway, he finally makes it up to the top of the palace to battle the evil vizier Jafar. Not that one. And it's a much more satisfying last boss battle than the original version had. Though the game starts out easy enough, I was breezing through the early levels. It quickly becomes much more difficult as you get further into the prince's adventure. It's an extremely unforgiving game in a totally old school way. One little misstep and you're dead. You gotta go all the way back to the start of that level. Gamers were so much more hardcore back in the early 90s. I don't think little kid me got anywhere near as frustrated playing Prince of Persia as adult me did. Even still, this is a classic game. It's fairly tricky and unforgiving, but it's still a lot of fun, and highly recommended even today. Next week, the Super Nintendo's first 6 months continues, and one of my all-time 16-bit favourites. Peace out.